Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, a 3-year-old remains in critical condition after an accidental shooting Thursday afternoon. Some Texans still say they're in favor of those buoys along the Rio Grande, this as a federal judge has ordered their removal. ERCOT has declared a power emergency as the heat wave in Texas continues.
The heat wave is for sure, but there's going to be a change in our pattern by the time we get to next week. That's good. Meanwhile, this is not good. This is Lee. This is the hurricane that's sort of going to be tempting on the East Coast next week. We'll certainly have the latest on that coming up.
A high school student faces suspension over his hairstyle despite a new law against racial hair discrimination. You're watching 25 News now at 5. Good Friday afternoon. Thank you for being with us. I'm James Munoz. Karina Garcia has the day off. Victoria police say that 3-year-old accidentally shot Thursday afternoon is still in critical condition. It happened just before 3:30 p.m. in the 7600 block of Navarro. The child was in an SUV on the roadway when the incident happened. Police have not released details on who else was in that vehicle or how the child was shot. 3:30 this afternoon, emergency workers were busy with this crash involving that motorcycle. It happened on the corner of Ben Jordan Street and College Drive. Police say the 57-year-old rider had to go to the hospital with serious injuries. The Victoria ISD Board has a specially called meeting Saturday. It starts at 9 a.m. at the Victoria ISD Administration Building. Boardroom that's at 102 Prophet Drive. For part of the meeting, the board will visit certain campuses and buildings to review safety improvements and some of the district's concerns over maintenance. Here's your viewer poll this afternoon. Scan the QR code on your screen to vote now. Do you plan to attend tomorrow's VISD board meeting? Yes or no? We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to participate. We'll have an update on what you and your neighbors are saying on 25 News now at 6. The record high temperatures in the state have prompted the Energy Department to declare a power emergency. The order allows power plants to surpass pollution limits through tonight in an effort to meet the abnormally high demand for electricity. ERCOT filed the emergency order request after warning of potential rolling outages to meet demand. As of this morning, ERCOT's website indicated those outages were not necessary. Mac, was it 104, 105, or 108 the high today?
It looks like 105, and we have to wait till almost 6 to get the final definition, but it was hot. And not only was it hot here, it was hot up north. Look at this, 109 in the Dallas area, 111 Mineral Wells. The entire state continues under the bubble, but the bubble has promised to start moving to the west. And that's going to give us an open door at a little bit better weather for next week. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed on that and talk about Hurricane Lee coming up in just a moment. James, back to you.
Mac, thank you. A federal judge has ordered Texas to move those buoys they placed along the Rio Grande off to the state side of the border. This comes after the Department of Justice filed a lawsuit after Texas installed the barriers in the first place.
These large orange buoys floating along the Rio Grande River in between Mexico and the U.S., creating an international controversy. A federal judge ordering Texas to move the barriers they installed to the riverbank on the Texas side of the Rio Grande, also ordering the state not to put up anything else until the Justice Department lawsuit concludes. Mexico's president has complained to the Biden administration, calling the barriers a violation of his country's sovereignty and of the human rights of the migrants. Texas Governor Greg Abbott says he plans to appeal, in a statement saying the court decision merely prolongs President Biden's willful refusal to acknowledge that Texas is rightfully stepping up to do the job that he should have been doing all along. In August, ABC visited the Rio Grande River, where the floating barriers are in place for about a quarter of a mile. Local and state officials calling these buoys a death trap.
Let's be real clear. 1,000 feet of buoys, well, it may not seem like a lot to those of you out there in the public listening. The fact is, it pushes people into the deep water.
2 people have died. 1 person found dead stuck in the lines of the orange buoys. A second person discovered by Mexican authorities in the area of the buoys. Governor Abbott calling the ruling incorrect, insisting they will take this all the way to the Supreme Court if necessary. The judge gave the state until next week to work with the Army Corps of Engineers to move the buoys. Melissa Don, ABC News, Los Angeles.
A poll by the University of Texas shows some voters support using buoys and barbed wire on the Rio Grande to prevent migrants from crossing into the U.S. The Texas Tribune shows 52% support Governor Abbott's use of buoys and barbed wire to stop migration, while 40% oppose it. In the poll, 64% support having state police and military resources on the border, and 60% supported constructing walls and barriers on the border. 48% support busing migrants out of Texas. A high school student is on in-school suspension. His mother says it's because of his hair. A state law recently went into effect banning discrimination based on hair texture or hairstyles associated with race. Activists say district leaders are breaking the law.
This is 17-year-old Daryl. He's a junior at Barbers Hill High School. And according to his mom, he spent most of the school year so far in-school suspension because of his hair.
I know he's upset and he feels terrible about it.
It was a similar situation right here at Barbers Hill High School in 2020 that led to the passage of the Crown Act. DeAndre Arnold was told to cut his long locks, and he and others sued the district. Representative Ron Reynolds was one of the authors of the legislation.
Absolutely zero excuse for this school district that knows this policy to do this all over again. It feels like deja vu.
The school district handbook forbids male students from having hair that extends below the eyebrows or earlobes, or worn in a style where hair extends below the top of a t-shirt collar. A district spokesperson today said the hair length rule is not in conflict with the Crown Act.
The vaguer the law, the more challenges you can expect.
Attorney Peyton Peebles points out the Crown Act doesn't specifically mention hair length, but it could be implied.
Length could be a way to discriminate against certain hairstyles without being openly discriminatory. It has the effect of preventing somebody from wearing a hairstyle that they may otherwise want to wear.
Again, Texas is one of 24 states that bans discrimination based on hair texture or hairstyles related to race. The FAA says SpaceX's Starship Super Heavy rocket should remain grounded until numerous issues are addressed. The agency said Elon Musk's SpaceX needs to take 63 corrective actions before it is cleared for another test flight. The giant rocket's explosion in Boca Chica was under investigation. The FAA cited multiple root causes of the April 20th mishap. They add SpaceX will need to implement all corrective actions that impact public safety and apply for and receive a license modification that addresses all the safety and environmental regulatory requirements. Well, tonight there are several big games in our area. The game of the week, the Edna Cowboys and the Refugio Bobcats. Weekend sports anchor Zach Brown is at Jack Sportsman Bobcat Stadium with the latest on the two top three ranked in the state.
Thanks, James. Lots of big games going on around the area, but for our game of the week, we've got a game that many around the state of Texas will have eyes on, and that is Edna and Refugio. But first, for the visiting Edna Cowboys. They have just not had any luck against these Refugio Bobcats, dropping the last three matchups. But Edna, who was a state semifinalist last year, coming off a wild win over the number 8 ranked Bay City Blackcats last week. The Edna Cowboys, led by senior star quarterback Jaden Clay, looking to take his guys to a perfect 3-0. One of the prides of this Edna team is its defense, and boy, did they step up in the fourth quarter last week, pitching a shutout as the Cowboys had just enough to pull out the win. That defense gets another huge test tonight against a powerful Refugio Bobcat offense that features a young, talented quarterback, and of course, let's not forget about their 4-star Texas A&M commit, Ernest Campbell. Now, last year, head coach Jimmy Mitchell said Refugio's a great team, and nobody's going to deny that, but they do feel like they made a lot of mistakes, specifically in the turnover game. Now, when you turn a ball over against Refugio, it can quickly turn into 6. I think a big key for Edna is going to be able to run the football, control the time of possession, and wear out this Refugio defense. We'll have more from this game at 6. Reporting live, Zach Brown, KVUTV 25, News Now Sports.
Good luck, everyone. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Stay with us. Nearly 400 law enforcement officers in Chester County, Pennsylvania are searching for that escaped inmate. Also ahead, a criminal complaint was filed against the suspended president of Spain's Soccer Federation.
Here's a look at what's coming up on Community Crossroads. We hear from Gary Moses. We also hear from the Victoria Symphony, Affectionate Arms, the Viva Texas Film Festival, and a local artist.
You know, after Harvey, they rebuilt this beautiful building, and I was so struck by it. I was like, I have to make something specifically for this. And the show closes on the 24th, but we're having an artist talk and reception Thursday.
Say about 400 law enforcement officers are searching for an escaped Chester County inmate. Danilo Cavalcante escaped from the prison August 31st by crab walking up 2 walls. He then pushed his way through razor wire, ran across a roof, and scaled another fence. There are a number of confirmed and credible sightings of Cavalcante. Police say the surrounding landscape is a mix of dense woodlands and residential properties without buildings.
My intent is to pressure him, to try and contain him and capture him. He'll make a mistake. He'll become more desperate. He'll have to expose himself, and so that's really the ultimate goal here. And so we will keep the pressure on him and keep pushing him.
The escape is under investigation both internally and by the State Attorney General's office. Cavalcante was convicted in 2021 for murdering his girlfriend. A Georgia state judge has released the special grand jury report leading to indictments against former President Trump and 18 others. The report includes several names the jury had recommended charges against who were not charged. Those not indicted include Senator Lindsey Graham, former U.S. Senators Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue, and former Trump National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. The special grand jury recommended indictments against a total of 39 people. Fulton County DA Fannie Willis filed charges against 19 of them. The national prosecutor in Spain has filed a criminal complaint against the suspended president of Spain's Soccer Federation, Luis Rubiales. The complaint is for the crimes of sexual assault and coercion against Jennifer Hermoso. She's a star soccer player on the Spanish national team. She filed an official complaint over an unwanted kiss Rubiales gave her after the Spanish team won the Women's World Cup. Hermoso claims both she and people close to her suffered constant and repeated pressure from Rubiales. The National Council on Aging reports nearly 56 million Americans are 65 and older. Staying healthy is critical to independence and a good quality of life, but many seniors struggle with a number of challenges.
A long life is a blessing and sometimes a curse.
You can't stop the clock. Your body is going to age.
Dr. Kenneth Concilia with Cleveland Clinic says as the years go by, the changing body allows for more health problems, but there are healthy ways to age. His first tip, get daily exercise. Commit to being active every day, but choose to do something you enjoy.
Commitments to exercise or promises to yourself only become a habit if it's something that you're going to be able to do, that you're going to love doing.
Eating a healthy diet with lots of fruits and veggies and limiting alcohol, processed foods, and red meats is key. Concilia says it's also critical to continue learning.
Reading books, learning new things, learning an instrument, singing, learning a new language, learning a new hobby. These things are all great exercises for your brain.
This can also help with staying social, another boost for your brain. Finally, Concilia says to focus on getting those Z's.
Making sure that we're not watching the TV as we're falling asleep, or that we're trying to get at least 6 to 7 hours of good quality sleep at night, undisturbed. That's very important for your brain health and for your overall physiology.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Hurricane Lee is now a Category 4 storm with wind speeds of up to 155 miles an hour. Earlier today, it was the strongest storm in the Atlantic since Hurricane Dorian in 2019. Lee had more than doubled its wind speed over a 24-hour period, going from 80 to 165 miles an hour. It's expected to remain a major hurricane over the next few days as it passes north of the northern Leeward Islands and Puerto Rico. On Sunday, most of the East Coast can expect dangerous surf and rip currents, and Matt can tell us more about that storm's impact.
Absolutely, because it's something we're going to be dealing with all next week. The East Coast is really under threat of that arrival, and we'll certainly have the latest on that. We'll have the latest on our improving weather, and we'll talk about football for tonight. All that coming up in just a moment. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, it's Friday night, so very important game of the week. Edna Cowboys and Refugio Bobcats. It's going to be at Refugio. Clear skies, looking good at only 90 degrees and a nice east wind. As long as the wind is blowing, it'll feel a little bit more comfortable for those of you out there, and may the best team win, as we like to say around here. Yep, another scorcher today, but there's hope that things will be changing for us. Can you believe it? We got up to 105 today. That is a new record for the day, and we were setting all kinds of records as this incredible heat of 23 rolls on. That now puts us at exactly 57 days that we've had over 100 degrees, so we're number 2. Guess what? Tomorrow we'll probably tie it and probably exceed it sometime next week. So, hey, we're here for records. Notice that in Texas, we are getting some stormy weather. It's now rolling off of Lake Charles in Louisiana into the Gulf of Mexico. But what you might notice, or what I notice, is that the dome has moved far enough back to the west to allow this northwesterly wind to bring those storms down into our area. That is why we're going to have a change in the weather. The dome goes that way. The north winds bring shower activity from North Texas down into our area, and that would be as soon as Sunday, Monday. So let's keep our fingers crossed. That's the big change in our weather. Also, these are the forecast highs for tomorrow, still in the triple digits, so not a lot of change just there. We are definitely looking at a hot looking weekend. Of course, the big story on the East Coast is Lee. Lee was a Category 5 yesterday. It is now a strong Category 4, and it'll continue drifting to the northwest. The good news, it's going to skip Puerto Rico. It's going to go skipping over the Bahamas, and then it gets very close to the Atlantic. Now, here's a very interesting thing for us. I want to thank Mr. David Brown, who wrote me a really nice letter. On September the 10th of 1961, we had Hurricane Carla right here in Victoria. A lot of people associate Carla with Galveston, but as you can see right about here, it landed 6 miles south of Port O'Connor. The eye went right over Port Lavaca. We got 145-mile-an-hour winds back in that storm, and it really took a number on Port O'Connor. Here is Palacios, where their pier was sort of slammed around. And now, of course, we build back because we love it here, right? Well, I know that one of the 175 reasons why we're here. So we build back, and we're here, and we're ready to go. And you know what? We learned every year that we go through these things, we learn how to be ready for the weather, be resistant to the weather, and how to recuperate after the weather. So here's your day planner for tomorrow. 95 degrees in Port Lavaca. Then for Tequero, we're still looking for a hot Saturday and Sunday as well. But what you'll see is by Monday, Tuesday, we're going to start seeing those showers come in from the north. Not so much Saturday, I think, but then Sunday, better shot. Monday, really good shot. And Tuesday and Wednesday, all of a sudden, look at that, mid-90s. Doesn't that sound just absolutely delightful? That is your 7-day forecast. Just reminding everybody, we do have a QR code. We want you to scan that and put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's James.
Mac, just 175 reasons?
Just 170? Well, that's...
I got 300.
You want me to count them?
I've got 300.
Okay.
Coming up next on 25 News Now at 5 on this Good Friday, we'll take a look at your stocks. Plus, in business news, America's largest private employer is lowering pay for some new hires. All right, let's take a look at Wall Street on this Friday afternoon. The Dow adding 77 points, the S&P 500 gaining 7 points, and the Nasdaq up 13 points. Oil is up 64 cents, closing at $87.51 a barrel. Walmart is lowering pay for new hires who prepare online orders for curbside pickup. The cut is about $1 an hour, but does not apply to existing workers. Analysts say it shows the tight labor market is easing a bit. The retailer says it made the change to make starting pay more consistent across jobs. Now, online order preparers will earn wages more similar to what cashiers and stockers earn. The company also points out it raised pay for around 50,000 existing employees. The U.S. dollar is showing strong gains for the 8th week in a row. It's increased 5% since mid-July, hitting a 6-month high. Economists say the dollar is now buoyed by positive U.S. economic data and the Federal Reserve's decision to keep interest rates higher. Globally, China and Europe's economies seem to be showing more vulnerability. Economists say those countries could be headed toward recession. Stay with us. We'll take a look at your forecast one last time with Maclovio Perez. Also, several regions in France are under an orange level heat wave alert. Now here's a look at what's coming up on World News Tonight, right after 25 News Now at 5.
Tonight, Hurricane Lee, the monster storm in the Atlantic. Where is it heading and how will it affect the East Coast? The latest on its path. More Americans turn to the most watched program on television. World News Tonight with David Muir.
We're not the only ones suffering through an intense heat wave. In France, 14 departments were placed under orange level, the second highest heat wave alert. In the region where Perez is located, temperatures are expected to reach 95 degrees Fahrenheit. And in another region, it's expected to reach between 97 to 99 degrees Fahrenheit. France's meteorological agency advises people to drink water frequently throughout the day and remain indoors during the warmest time between 11 a.m. and 9 p.m. 25 News Now morning anchor and meteorologist Parker Cox has this article about how many heat records were set this summer. You can read the story on crossroadstoday.com. The human barometer.
Well,
So,
he is very tall.
Any rain anywhere?
Things are looking good for
I
next
like the
week.
90 you have.
Yeah, things are looking good for next week. There's going to be a temporary lull in this brutal heat as the dome actually moves west, giving us a shot at some afternoon shower activity, and temperatures only in the 90s, folks. Wow, we're so excited that we'll only be in the 90s. Now, will it be forever? I don't know. It could be that we get back into the hundreds for a couple more days, but it's getting less and less likely because fall begins September 22nd, 23rd, and by that time we're getting less and less sunshine, and the sun should be able to give us a break. And it's not so much the sun. The sun is always there at the same intensity. It's our atmosphere that's retaining more and more of the heat that it gets. It's called the atmospheric energy balance, okay? So when things are not in balance, it's not good.
It's the 23rd and we're 15 days away.
Oh, you're
I'm
counting.
counting. Oh, yeah. We hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 6. World News Tonight with David Muir is up next.